In this video, I'm going to talk about the tension force details, and it's very similar to normal force, except instead of being a push, it is a pull. And so hopefully you understood normal force from an atomic level about electrons and things like that, because if you did, then understanding tension force is going to be a piece of cake. So we just want to recall that normal force, it's a reaction force from both objects that is caused by the electron clouds of both objects repelling the electron clouds of both objects when the objects get too close. And so that is what I'm showing on the left side. I've got these two objects, my gray object and my red object, and hopefully you can see it, but let me see if I can highlight it a little. In between each object, I've got these gray bonds. The bonds are actually the sharing of electron clouds, and so I really think of this as each atom has an electron cloud around it, and as the electron clouds overlap, this is what forms the bond. So same thing on my red object. Each atom has an electron cloud around it, and where the bonds overlap, or the clouds overlap, that's a bond. But notice on the outside, I've got kind of this exposed electron cloud. So when the objects get too close to each other, the bonds shorten, okay? Remember, we're still talking about normal force. So I'm pushing the objects close to each other. So this is the motion of the objects. And notice that my electron clouds have gotten really squished, and so they repel each other. And so there's both within the object. I'm going to go back to my clouds. So here's my electron clouds. They've gotten a lot closer, and so they repel. So this is, they push away. So there is this push away. And this push away due to the electron clouds being too close, they're all negatively charged. This push away is the normal force. And remember, normal stands for perpendicular, not typical or natural. Anyone who puts natural, you're in big trouble. Okay. So tension force is the same idea. So again, normal force, we've got these squished electron clouds in bonds. So squished electron clouds, and also, there's also some squished electron clouds on the surface. Okay, so normal force. Now, in tension force, you are pulling an object at either end, and it lengthens the bonds between the normal length. And the normal length of a bond, so like the resting length, it's based on the fact that there's an attraction between the positive nucleus and the negative electron cloud. So when we think about the structure of an atom, remember there is the positive nucleus, and then there's the negative electron cloud. And then on the next atom, positive nucleus, negative electron cloud. So the negatives and the positives actually attract each other. Okay, so there's a normal resting bond length, and that's the normal length. But with the tension, you pull at either end. So that's what I've got here. Tension, my object is in gray, and you're pulling on either end, red arrows. That's number one. And so the electron clouds exert a pulling force on either end in order to have the bond length return to normal length. Okay, so I've pulled the electron clouds apart, and so that is what, let me try. Okay, so I've pulled them beyond what the normal length is. So normal length, so this is normal length, and this is stretched. And so the electrons pull back towards the normal length. And so this pulling back, so this pulling back, this is the tension force. So typically we say that a tension force only occurs with stretchy objects like a rubber band or a spring, but in reality, any time that you can pull or lengthen a bond when you're stretching it, you are going to have a tension force. So like if your arm, if you are hanging from a bar, you're actually stretching your bonds a little bit in your arm, and you'll have a tension force in your arm. Okay, so if we just compare the two, in a normal force on the left, we've got bonds are being pushed together, so they are shorter than normal length, and they push back, and that's normal force. In tension force, bonds are stretched beyond their normal length, and they pull back to the normal length, and so tension is a pull. And all of it is based upon kind of the normal length of a bond and how the electron cloud reacts to that. So reaction force caused by stretch electron clouds in the matter that makes up the interacting objects, always a pull, and the direction is parallel. So let's look at a couple of examples of a tension force. So here I have a mass hanging on a string, and it's actually being held up by a tension force. Another one, I have a bird on a wire. If we were going to show this in a schema, it's actually easier to think of this as two wires. So I've got an FT this way. So in the schema, I would probably do wire 1, and then I have bird, I have wire 2, and so I would label this tension and tension. And then just to finish out, I would have earth, and this would be weight or gravity. From now on, you usually consider all strings or wires, we assume them to be massless, without mass, and so we do not put a connection to the earth. And then if you wanted to do, so we can do, this is side 1, this is side 2. If you wanted to do pole 1 and pole 2, you could. So, all right, so, but I would do both wires separately. And then here's another one. I've got a mass hanging from the ceiling, and so I've got ceiling, Again, I've got wire 1. I've got mass. And always have earth. So between there and there, I've got weight. Between here and here, I've got tension. Actually, I'm going to erase that just because it looks funny. Okay, so this is weight. I've got wire 2. Here and here, I've got tension. Tension, and then tension. Okay. All right. And then let's go up and summarize normal force. So it's a reaction force caused by compressed electron clouds in the matter that makes up the interacting objects. Normal force is always a push, and the direction is really important. It is perpendicular. It is not always up, not always up. So here's an example. I've got a block sitting on a ramp. Notice the normal force is going perpendicular. So perpendicular to the ramp. So here we have the normal force going this way. Okay. There are people who put the normal force going straight up. It drives me batty. Don't do that. Don't drive me batty. Okay. Here's another excellent example where normal force is not up. Okay. Normal force going to the right. Reaction, normal force going to the left. Normal force is not going up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to let you just look at that example for a moment. So that is tension force. It's based on bonds being stretched beyond their normal length, and it's always a pull.